This video is brought to you by FSP and their CMT 500 series cases. The CMT 510 offers a squared-off look, 3 tempered glass panels, 4 RGB fans, and enough room inside for custom water cooling. The CMT 520 offers a more angular shape, front and side glass panels, 4 included RGB fans, and the best part is they're both priced at just under $100. See links in the description or visit fsplifestyle.com for more details.
Timmy Joe reviews anything.
Reviewing computer parts on YouTube.
That's
Woo! Gotta be pumped on that, right, Will? Computer parts! Woo!
Oh, yeah.
Hi there, guys. My name's Timmy Joe. I make videos about computers on the internet, and today on the program, it's 2006. You want to overclock your processor. What are your options? Huh? Go to the local hardware store and maybe to the local auto store and buy some weird water cooling parts and make something yourself. There was a little bit of a niche market for that, but you're pretty much limited to stock heat sinks and coolers and some of those, ones that look like little butterflies or whatever. And then you had this. This is amazing, really cool. It's all hooked up to some wire. I'm all tangled up in these wires. But essentially, this is the by Titan Tech Cooler Amanda. Now, this was actually sold under the Ultra brand as well, but look at it. It's a super cool 4 copper heat pipe heat sink with 2 90mm fans on it, but it gets so much more interesting than that. It has this little PCI card, which I'm not going to be able to plug in today, but as far as I can tell, it didn't even really do anything. I would assume there was some software for it or something, but heck, I can't find any reference to it or anything. And I did have this all plugged in on socket 775 board, and I've been doing testing today, and I'm actually really impressed with some of the aspects of it, so I decided to reshoot the video and get into a little bit more depth. So this is very special because it has a Peltier cooler in it, which we'll explain in just a second. But here, this is the Amanda cooler installed on an appropriate system for the time. And then we see your Titan is still the maker of this, making CPU coolers, but no mention of this on their website whatsoever. So, no, not really worth going there. I don't even know if they're really in business anymore. But if you go to this Tweak 3D, boop, 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 August 2006 is when this came out, and it praises this thing for being a really cool cooling solution. Pun intended. I actually bought a version of this. It was complete in box, but it was the Ultra version, and I hooked it up to a computer, and something happened that shocked the motherboard, and then the motherboard never turned on again, and then I threw it all in the garbage because I figured it wasn't worth it. But thank God I have good subscribers that lend me stuff, and here we have the Amanda version, Amanda, with a thermoelectric cooler in it. And you might ask, what's a thermoelectric cooler? Well, here's the Ultra version, which would be, I think, a little bit cooler these days because it had a box that would go in like a CD-ROM slot instead of a PCI card that I can't tell if it really even did anything. Like, I assume it would control the fans or something like that, but I have it jerry-rigged another way, which we'll worry about in just a second here. Actually just want to grab, here. Well, we have to plug a Molex into the card in order to use it on what will be the 9600K. Why the heck not? I actually retrofitted the socket 775 by bending these out slightly, and they're, because socket 775 is a little smaller than normal Intel these days, so 1155 or whatever. So I just bent them out slightly so I can secure it on there, and I've already done some testing, and it's not bad at all. But I didn't test the best part of this thing. So here's 3D Game Man. He's pretty sweet. We're in a minute here. Pretty sweet YouTuber from 2007, and he used to review all this stuff.
Welcome to another video review. Today,
video review, yeah. But he explains the Peltier cooler very easily here, and I'd like to maybe, show you guys what I'm talking about. So I'll bump the desktop audio up here.
The Peltier module is typically a small and thin device which produces what's called a Peltier effect. The Peltier effect occurs when a current is passed through 2 dissimilar metals or semiconductors, N-type and P-type, that are connected to each other at 2 junctions. The current drives a transfer of heat from one junction to the other. One junction cools off while the other
Essentially, there's a little Peltier cooler inside of this thing that straight up works. It's super, super cool. So here, I just want to put this back to here. Oh yeah, and then yeah, here's a Peltier effect. Thermoelectric cooler, you know, Wikipedia entry explaining how this works. But, you know, we're not too worried about the science behind it. Does it work, right? Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Well, I'm here to, yes, I haven't activated Windows. I'm here to say it actually does work very, very well. So I've hooked what would normally be the hot side of the Peltier cooler up to the, directly to this power supply's 12-volt rail, which is pretty interesting. And I have this here. We're going to turn that on now, and the fans get going because I plugged the Molex into the card. And we're going to, first off, check right here real quick what our volts are. Can you see that? There. Ah! Oh, God. We're breaking things now. All right, turn it back on. She's rolling. Then we're going to look at the volts of this thing so I can plug right. I just want to make sure it's working. Well, I know it's working, but see, we got 9.9 volts running through this Peltier cooler, and I can already tell it's cold to the touch. Very, very cool stuff. You want to see? Check this out. It's, what, 25? 24? Should go down. Something's up here because this is cold to the touch. And the underside is definitely warm. It's quite possible that the effect is actually negative because of the way that this is hooked up. Maybe it needs a lesser voltage. But this is definitely getting cold and the underside is definitely getting hot. I would imagine that 5 volts is actually supposed to go through this. So maybe that's the way I'll hook it up. And we'll turn it on and off when we have it hooked up properly on the 9600K here. I already actually tested this cooler without worrying about the Peltier at all, and it still facilitate a 5 gigahertz overclock in the like 70s to very mild 80 degree temperatures in Cinebench. So it's like a really super cool, yeah, something's up. It's like it has a negative effect if you put too much heat through it or something. Maybe I need to be adding heat to this for it to work. But you know what? I think we'll test it with 12 volts. We'll test it with 5 volts or 10 volts or whatever. And I'll get it all hooked up. And then we can see if it actually makes a difference once it's hooked up on the system to add a little Peltier cooler to where it's extracting heat with the heat pipes on one side and the other side gets cold. I think that's going to be pretty cool to look at. So we'll see you in just a second, you little freaks. I'll get her all hooked up. Thanks very much for bearing with my craziness. See you soon. Whoa! Okay, we're back, and I have it all hooked up, super proper like, as you saw there, real proper like. Whew! But look at the temperatures. This little cooler is getting this thing down to ambient, like 24 to 31 degrees Celsius. And at ambient, I want to know, like, it kind of seems like I'm putting either too much current through this thing, which would also lead me to believe that if I'm doing that, like, it's not really going to have much of an effect whether this is on or off. Or maybe I'm wrong and the properties of setting it up in the manner that this is set up is you need some sort of heat source underneath so we can like deliver the heat to the other side. So I'm imagining if I turn this on, it's just going to make everything hotter. But we'll see because I have the 12 volt hooked up to it right now, or the whatever it was like registering as 10 volts. So let's see. If I turn it on, kind of hard to judge ambient, but we see temperatures seem to be dropping. 26 degrees, 20, 19, 17, 17 degrees. This is obviously working. 23. So I have, that's interesting that our CPU temperature is dropping like crazy. That is awesome. 21. Can we get all cores under 20 degrees? That's so cool. So it seems to be working. It's very interesting. Okay. So, yeah, all cores are now under 20 degrees. This is so cool. So we're cooling with electricity in an interesting way. So let's do Cinebench now. And I also have IDA 64 if we want to do some real stress testy stuff. But, yeah, we're under 20 degrees, and one core is reading us 12. That is so interesting. What happens if we run Cinebench? Because I know that it seems like temperatures are staying pretty low. 65? They went up to 80 last time I tried this thing. I actually took it all apart just to refilm the intro. So we're up to 73 degrees on one core. But temps are pretty good. Let's see here if we can get more than like 1200 in Cinebench here. I think 1250 would be pretty cool. 77 degrees. So we're up there, but near the end. But we're running at 5 gigahertz with a cooler from 12 years ago. And it's working real nice here. This is interesting. So will our temperatures fall dramatically right away? Or, I don't know, 30? See, I would imagine that this thing isn't capable of dissipating the heat that the top plate is actually putting out enough for it to effectively cool things down. But that's pretty interesting. 26, 25. So temperatures are dropping again. That is super cool. So 12, 28. Interesting. So if I turn this thing off, because I'm controlling just the Peltier cooler with this separate power supply, let's see if the temperatures go back up. 27. And if we run Cinebench, we'll see what the temperatures get to. We'll see here, it topped out at 79 on that first core, and as low as 69 on the third core, or the second core. Core 2, that's, if you're counting 0 as a number. All right, we're already over 81 degrees. Ha! So this thing actually does give a little bit of extra cooling power when you're putting 12 volts to it or whatever. That is 84 degrees. Huh. Okay, Cinebench is completed with a higher score, I might add. 12 to 41, but variance of whatever. So let's run it immediately with the Peltier cooler on and see if it gets back up to 84. 80, 79, 80. We'll see if that top core hits 84 degrees with this thing on. Because there's a little ramp up period. 82, 83, 80, 81. It's going to finish having never hit that top end. And immediately we see all the temps fall. That is super cool. So this thing works. I would imagine that you'd need, I don't know, if you can stack those Peltier coolers or something, or you can get bigger ones. Like, this isn't going to help in most situations. I don't know if it adds an extra expense, but the way this thing is set up is it actually like looks very promising. That it's taking like anywhere from 5 degrees to 20 degrees, but I would imagine that's only good for short bursts. Like if I put IDA 64 on, see all the cores are now dropping again back down, super low. That is so interesting. Here, I'll put up an IDA 64. Boom, and we'll go tools, and we'll go system stability, and we'll just stress the FPU. Start! So we get ramp up right away. And how does it feel? I mean, it doesn't feel warm in there. I don't know. Super cool. All right, give me a second. I'm going to run some more tests, and then we'll come back for a conclusion. Okie dokie. So nothing to really report here. I ran IDA 64 with it on and off, and they both eventually reached the same temperature. So this is more of a gimmick than anything, because as we see here, like 3 of my cores are under 10 degrees Celsius. And I've kind of let this run for a good, 5-7 minutes. And it's not really getting any colder than that. And that's, so it's cool because it's making my ambient, when there isn't that much heat to deal with, that much better. It's able to control this amount of heat, this whatever TDP that's coming out of this Intel chip, probably 95 watts or 200 at 5 gigahertz. But it's able to control the idle temperatures very, very well. But as soon as I put a load on it, it equals out, and really it's just wasted. So like I'm putting electricity into this and getting nothing in return once the load is heavy enough. So we see here 15, 11, 10, 9, 8, 10, 9. That's about as low as she goes. And I'll just run Cinebench one more time, see if, well, the beginning temperatures were that low. If we get any sort of cool result, better than 1245. But it's a really cool, interesting system, and I think someone could probably design a CPU cooler with a bigger, badder Peltier cooler involved. And there's actually a Cooler Master one, or is it a Thermal Take? I got it up on screen here. Someone might actually send me this thing. It covers like half your motherboard, and it's from a few years ago as well. But 1244, so the temperature being lower doesn't really change the result. But all in all, yeah, if I could get one of those, that would be super, super cool. But the same concept as this, and then there is a super even newer version of this, which I'm showing on screen right now. I forget the name of it. And it is like a badass tower cooler from, that looks modern. So I'll have to get some more of these to test. But as far as I'm concerned with the Amanda, all it does is help your idle temperatures. It doesn't really help your on-load temperatures. Considering we're running, it's one of the hottest 6 cores around at 5 gigahertz. It does a pretty good job of cooling all on its own without the Peltier cooler. It can continue. You could put this little thing, I'm sure, even in a case. And with its push-pull design and its 4 heat pipes, it's more than enough cooling to do 5 gigahertz on this thing. And then add the Peltier cooler in there, and it's like this cool little treat. So I'm at Watch Timmy Joe on Instagram and Twitter. I love weird old cooler designs, especially ones from 2006 that imply some sort of freezing technology. But if you have any cool coolers, or maybe something you'd like to show me, maybe I'll try and get a hold of some Patreon money, another version of these thermoelectric coolers, because the Peltier effect in this is pretty cool. But I can't really use this to its full effect. I was hoping that I could find software for it and like manage temperatures and stuff. Doesn't really seem like that's a thing. Like, you'd think a PCI card, this would have came with a CD, and you'd be able to load drivers and read the temperatures at least, or turn that thermoelectric cooler on or off or something. But something's missing from this. And again, I tried to hook it up to a socket 775 motherboard, and it just wouldn't. I couldn't. The only one I have lying around that's not doing anything, I couldn't get to post. Anyways, my technical difficulties aside, we cooled a modern platform with the Amanda, and I think that is super, super cool. So thank you so much for all the help sending me to CES. I'm now making my plans to get all set up there. I'll keep you apprised of the situation, but man, you guys donated like crazy, and that's just going to keep videos like this where we use the Amandas of the world on newer test benches and check out old technology. I mean, it's such a freaking awesome time to be alive and be a YouTuber on technology. But I'm at Watch Timmy Joe Instagram, Twitter, and I have a Patreon if you're looking to help me do silly stuff like this. I try to spend the Patreon money on cool, weird hardware like this. So thanks to everyone out there for helping out, and yeah. If you can find one of these Amandas, you can put it on a modern Intel platform and still use it. It's pretty cool. You just got to do a little bit of modding, which, don't be afraid of it. It'll be fun. I'll see you guys in another video. Thank you very much. Woo!